You have summed it in a very simple manner, but I am sure there must be a lot of hard work which goes into it. From starting from the collection of the data to making the AI and creating all these platforms, you must have gone through and learned a lot of things in that. Because I, like, you are from a dentistry background and you were, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard your interviews where you have told that you loved doing clinical treatments. And from a dentist who is doing a clinical treatments and going into a totally a different field, totally like a CEO where you are doing different things, you are wearing different hat every day, you are doing marketing, you are doing growth, etc. How was that journey? Was it very difficult, and do you miss doing the treatments?
Journey was super challenging, and it still is. Why it still is? Not because I miss doing treatments. That was the initial phase. Because as we know, if we are very good clinicians, it's not easy to give up on your practice completely and just be focused on this. And that's why when I had started, I was balancing both practice and DentalDost, which, by the way, we are coming up with some news. But once it is done, I'll pass on it to you.
Awesome.
So you can take the announcement, right? So initially there was this balance, but later on, as the growth started kicking in, the traction, demand for constantly, there are a lot of things in a startup. And startup and practice both are full time. And I thought we cannot do two things full time. And I gave my clinic up to one of my colleagues to run it full time. And I was like, okay, I'm not now looking in that direction anymore. Now, this is the path which I have chosen. And let's give our 200% here. And I think that inspired a lot of other doctors also to give up on the clinical practice and be full-time in non-clinical or digital or AI-based. Because if you see, Dr. Lakshmi, like 3 years back, all these avenues were not talked about. Some of them didn't even exist.
Yeah.
And especially in India, as dental surgeons, we just had two choices. Either your practice or an academician. You just, and thinking anything beyond it was like maybe you're not good at it at clinical practice, and isliye you are choosing all of these other buckets. Right?
Yes, it is so common. I should say it is common. Like people think कि आप उसमें अच्छे नहीं हो, इसीलिए आपने non dental या कुछ और field में आप गए हो.
Right. But after COVID, the way professionals started looking at other avenues have changed. And I believe it has changed for good. Right? First thing. Second, now the interesting challenge in the journey is juggling between, as you mentioned, between the role of chief dental surgeon, the role of CEO, the role of somewhere helping in the product and growth and tech. But again, not being so immersed that we are not been able to do other roles which we are into full time. And obviously, in a startup, you won't get people who are able to independently do end-to-end operations if they are put in a certain role. In the first couple of early years, you need to handhold them. And so the main leadership team always gets overstretched. And you're always thinking now, all right, we have everything, all of these on priority 1. We have a list of priority 1, 2, 3, but one mein itte sare cheeze, and how do we, do this?
Right.
But I think being honest, transparent, and open with your core team helps. So if you say, all right, now I'm getting overstretched, and this is also of importance, and that's also of importance, how do we deal with it? You won't know the kind of solutions which you're getting from your team members. So it's not always that you're alone in this journey. It's very important to be open, transparent, so that it's okay to sometimes announce your weaknesses, then showing a bold face and messing up with things more. Right? So it's a very interesting balance which you have to maintain.
That's actually very interesting because, as you mentioned, there must be a lot of hurdles which you have gone through, which nobody else know, because you are there in that journey from quite a long time. And as you mentioned that you have to handhold every role. because the vision is something which only you know, and you have to make them, other people understand that, okay, this is the vision and this is what your role is.